Hello, my name is Garrett. Welcome to episode 1 of Progress Theory. I really appreciate you clicking on the video, and if you decide to stick around, uh, I appreciate it greatly. This is the foundational episode of the podcast I'm starting, built around the goal of learning how to optimize the human experience for well-being. Uh, And the goal of this is to learn how to do this generally so that it can be applied to both my own life and the life of other people. Um, I'm very aware that this is kind of a ridiculous notion and pursuits. Optimizing the human experience by nature encapsulates literally everything that exists. So it is a completely unattainable goal. But the thought is, if I can get a little bit closer, if I can figure it out, 5%, that 5% could make a substantial difference, not only in my own life, but in the life of other people. Um, Moving forward, after this episode, each episode of this podcast is going to be centered around a specific idea, and it's going to be taking a in-depth look at a specific question or concept. This episode is going to be pretty different than most of them, because this episode, the main goal for me here is to give a example of the experiences that have led to the creation of this podcast, and that my current working theory of optimizing well-being have been derived from, and to give a clear description of the purpose that I want this podcast to fulfill moving forward. I have a YouTube series that I have been working on for about 4 months that is built around the idea of, or it's titled Growing from Rock Bottom. And it is my attempt to document my process of overcoming addictive behavior and building positive momentum, and shifting my identity to one that is healthier and more sustainable. In the first week of that series, and then in every week, I give a more in-depth description of my specific experiences that have led me to creating progress theory and all that it encompasses. I'm not gonna go into that specifically here. If you would like to hear it, absolutely feel free to look at that YouTube series. But for now, there's just a specific idea that has been the foundation that my entire sense of identity has been built on, that I think is important to talk about. For as long as I can remember, I have been completely consumed by this idea that I am not good enough, and that I am unworthy. And I have struggled a lot over my life with insecurity and generally just feeling dissatisfied with who I am. And for a long time in my adolescence, I really didn't know how to deal with that. I just kind of lived in it, and I did not know what the solution actually was. As a whole, my solution was just escapism. I just resorted to trying to fill up my time with anything that did make me feel good. And when I was young, and I think when a lot of people are young, their understanding of pleasure and how dangerous and unfulfilling it can be, and the understanding of the idea that just because something feels good does not mean it's good for you or healthy, it had not I did not grasp it yet. So my attempt to fix this underlying sense of worthlessness for probably 5 years was just escape it and medicate it with high stimulus, high pleasure activities. But I reached a point when I started to question it a lot more, and I really started to crave a better life where I became obsessed with growth. I thought growth was the answer to all of my problems. Uh, and it made sense. It really seemed like the obvious solution. If I am not satisfied with who I am, if I'm not good enough, then I just need to grow until I'm better. And once I grow enough, then I'll feel better. Uh, it seems like a very logical conclusion. And it seemed to work for a long time. Uh, I spent a couple years where I was not fully aware. I knew I was insecure, but I was not aware of how deep the feeling of worthlessness and dissatisfaction went. And I wasn't really aware of why I was so driven. I just knew I was driven and I liked it. And so I didn't really want to mess with whatever system was behind it. I just wanted the results. And for a couple of years, I saw a lot of growth in my life. Or I perceived there to be a lot of growth in my life. There were external tangible signs that I was growing and improving, and it made me feel good. Um, but eventually, I collapsed completely, and I, for a long time, chased perfect growth. Um, my understanding of what growth was very black and white. And I was obsessed with outcomes specifically. And if I did not perfectly attain the outcome that I wanted for myself, I would just be completely overwhelmed by that feeling that I'm not good enough and I'll never be good enough. And throughout this time, I became very obsessed with creating visions and planning out the future. When I first got into personal development, my perception of growth and what growth meant was largely attached to material success and climbing up the social hierarchy. And I would not have admitted that at the time, but that is absolutely what growth was to me. It was being the best human being alive by society's standards. And that seemed very measurable. You can measure someone's net worth. You can measure to some degree, you can measure their social standing. And that is all that really mattered to me. Like I as stupid as this sounds and as naive as it clearly was, I thought that if I just became better than most people, according to the value system that society pushes onto us, then I would feel good and life would have meaning and I would feel valuable and like my existence was justified. And in order to do this, I started reverse engineering goal setting. From 30 years from now, I wanted to be at this point financially, intellectually, physically. And if I want to be there in 30 years, then where do I need to be in 10 years? If I want to be there in 10 years, where do I need to be 5? And all the way down to the day, to where uh, it was egotistical for me to think that I could predict what I needed to do on all those steps to reach a certain point. But I really thought I could, by doing so and being very specific and in depth about that process, know exactly what I need to do today to get exactly where I want to be in 30 years. And so for years, I've lived my life chasing goals for the next day and the next week, and the next month, and the next year, and the next 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, 50 years. And that really seemed like the only way to live that made sense to me. If we have a finite lifetime, and in the grand scheme of things, it is almost nothing. Then why would you not be extremely deliberate about how you live? Why would you not plan out the best life for yourself and uh, chase after it with absolute conviction? And it still does make sense to me of living deliberately and intentionally, I think matters. But it's clear to me now that what was really happening in all of that was I had this relentless drive to control my life and to attain my goals perfectly, because I thought that if I can do this, if I can accomplish this next thing, then it will set me up to accomplish the step after that and the step after that. And there's 40 steps to get to the ultimate goal. And I was so convinced that I actually cared about the specific goals I was chasing, but I don't think I did. I really just wanted to feel okay. And I convinced myself that there was some magical point of arrival somewhere in the distant future where if I just did the steps to get there, I would finally reach a point where I'd look at my life and say, this mattered. This has value. I can feel okay about who I am. My existence has been earned and is justified. Which is incredibly depressing to actually be able to see clearly how long I lived my life like that hurts, because I hated myself deeply and I was incredibly dissatisfied with myself and with existence. And I also see more clearly now. Well, there's two things here. As much as I was extremely driven and as much as I have been obsessed with outcomes and achievement, and I've seen some success at points, I've also seen a lot of failure. And I have experienced an equal amount of drive and growth as I've experienced self-destruction and addiction. And I don't think that is. I think those things are very intrinsically connected. I think people who lived the way I have lived are probably people that are very susceptible to addiction, because when you hate yourself and you hate your reality, the only thing that really feels better in the moment is something that just blasts your brain with chemicals and overwhelms all the emotions you feel and completely covers them up, and replaces it with pleasure. But even if there were no impulse control problems, because there are people who are driven deeply by a feeling that they are not enough and they need to accomplish something extraordinary to have value, who never experience impulse control problems. They don't fall into addiction, at least addiction to a starkly destructive substance or activity. They become addicted to grinding and chasing goals and working. But when I even take a step back and look at that life, because that's what I've been pursuing for so long, I've just so badly wanted to become someone who can just grind perfectly and who can optimize growth. That was the whole goal for so long. That was the goal of progress theory originally, up until like a month ago, was optimizing the human experience for growth. And that was all that mattered. That was the top of my value system, and I truly believed that was the most important value for every human being, and that this world would be a significantly better place if everyone just chased growth to the fullest extent. And I do still think that growth is very important. I think it matters a lot. But the way I lived my life, I deified growth because it was the only thing that had ever given me a sense of meaning and worthiness. Uh, but when I look at what that life actually ends up being, it is horrible. It is no accomplishment can change the underlying belief that makes somebody feel worthless and terrible. Uh, and yes, I think someone who is completely consumed by this idea that they're not good enough and they need to achieve in order to have value, they can achieve a lot. The people who achieve the most in their life probably are all incredibly insecure people. Um, but what is the point of achievement if you hate yourself the whole time? In the life that I have been pursuing for so long of optimizing growth and growing perfectly and maximizing my potential, those were like core statements I kept coming back to. That was the center of what I was chasing. Is just a life where I would work and work and work and hate myself the whole time and feel dissatisfied and feel like if I can just achieve this, like I'll finally feel okay and I'll finally feel good, and I'll be enough. But I would never be enough, and I would just push and push and push and be incredibly dissatisfied and then die. And I think there are probably a good amount of people that are stuck in that cycle. And I want to specifically go a little bit into like what I referenced this a little bit ago, but progress theory originally was the idea behind it was if I can fix myself, if I can overcome my addictive behavior and build a lot of positive habits and essentially learn how to be a incredibly effective and competent person, an incredibly high achiever, then I can probably figure out the general rules that helped me get there and then create a system that other people can use. Both for, I'm not going to act like I'm completely selfless. I want to make money off the system. But I think that there's a lot of benefit to figuring out how to tie together financial progress with genuine positive impact. And I thought this was my way I could make a lot of positive impact, is if I create a system that's originally built on my own experiences, and then as people go through the program, I can use their data to refine the system and figure out which rules from my own life apply generally and which ones are specific to me. And every member that comes through the system can be a source of refinement, and over time this can be so optimized that genuinely any person who utilizes it will become significantly more effective. That was the goal. that was what I wanted progress theory to be. And I am at this point in time trying to completely overhaul the value system that my entire sense of identity has been built on, and completely overhaul the purpose of progress theory. Because I think that I have been my entire life optimizing for the human experience for growth at the cost of my well-being and fulfillment. And the system I was trying to create was built on that value system. It was built on that idea. And so when I look at it, I'm like, I do want to help people. Like that is the primary purpose. Like I want to feel like I'm doing something that makes life better for other people. And if I just create a system that they can use to get on the endless treadmill of goal setting to try to not hate yourself like I was, that is not helping anybody. And I think it's become very obvious to me that it is far more beneficial to focus on trying to optimize the human experience for well-being, especially given growth is a central aspect of well-being, of creating a strong sense of well-being in one's life. Growth is not a bad thing. Desiring growth is very healthy and fills people with a sense of purpose, I think. But when you're chasing growth over everything else, and perfect growth specifically, when your desire for growth is rooted in a sense of worthlessness and life dissatisfaction and a quest to justify existence through accomplishment, it just leads to a depressing, meaningless, and joyless existence. And so that is the main point of this podcast moving forward, is I want to learn and analyze my experiences and analyze other people's experiences, for the sake of figuring out how to make the human experience a little better for myself and other people. I'm at a point now where I don't have a lot of data to build off of. My sample size is pretty much one. Like I've read books, and that I think that gives me some perspective. But I'm largely just analyzing my experience, and it's hard to determine which aspects of my experience apply to humanity as a whole, and which aspects are more unique to me specifically. And so I think my ability to create this system is somewhat limited at this point in time. I think the goal, while I produce this podcast and while I try to build some sort of an audience, in the background, I'm going to be trying to create this system and create this program. And once it's created, that will be the alpha version of it. And I'll try to get a couple hundred people to go through it and really analyze the impact it had on them, and what was actually useful, what was not, which ideas are just blatantly wrong, and try to refine it. And then just repeat that cycle of refine the system by analyzing and incorporating user experience, and then have more users go through it, and just continuously refine it until it reaches a point where I have data to prove that this system genuinely is capable of improving the well-being of anybody who incorporates it into their life. But the podcast and just any content I create at this point, I want it to be rooted in the idea of optimizing for well-being, but it is just me exploring along the way. As I try to figure out and create this system, I'm going to keep learning through reading and listening to podcasts and talking to people, and I'm very committed to this pursuit. And so I by no means have all the answers. Maybe I don't have any answers yet. I like to think that I've made some progress and I have some understanding, but I could be wrong. But I'm very certain I'll never have all the answers. I might be able to create a system that works, but it's not going to work perfectly, and that's okay. And I'll never understand how to optimize for well-being completely, and that is okay. But I want to keep exploring. I want to try to get closer and closer. And that is the goal of this podcast, is explore questions that relate to this, and talk to people that are experts in specific fields and are at least interested in this topic, and try to explore their experiences and how it can apply to this core purpose. And I am somewhat there's self-interest behind this pursuit. I don't want to pretend otherwise. Going back to that idea of, I have tried to control life and my outcome in life through creating 40 different steps that get me to this perfect end goal, because there's been this core subconscious idea that if I get to that end goal, like, I will feel okay. I'll finally have a sense of joy and peace and feel like I matter. I am trying, in the spirit of optimizing for well-being instead of optimizing for growth, I'm trying to start just doing things that make me feel okay now, and give me a sense of fulfillment and purpose now, instead of withholding myself joy and contentment from some future point that, like, let's be real, it's not going to arrive, and it never will. It is an endless fantasy that one day I'll get there, and I won't. Maybe I can just do things now that I enjoy doing and that make life feel exciting and worthwhile. And this is one of those things when I really try to narrow down, like, what do I enjoy? What do I enjoy doing? What makes life seem fulfilling to me? I love learning about this. I love exploring this and journaling about it and talking to people about it and just trying to understand the human experience a little bit better. Because again, it's a ridiculously it's a ridiculously broad ambition, and I am really becoming more comfortable with the fact that I'll never achieve it. There is no end goal with this pursuit, or there's no end point that I'll arrive at where I've figured out how to make the most of the human experience. But I don't know. It's all that matters. Like, at the end of the day, we feel so much. At least I'll speak for myself. I feel like I've filled so much of my time doing things to try to run away from how I feel and to try to make it make sense and make it matter, like, just to try to make life feel a little bit better. And I think a lot of people do that. Like, we're kind of just thrust into this experience and no one has any clue what's going on, and we try to learn along the way and figure out what the point of it is and how to live a good life. But we kind of, I think for myself, and when I look at other people, I think it applies to all of us, we kind of lose sight of that of that intent. It's like we just fall into the life that chance grants us and just keep doing the things that we think we're supposed to do, whether they make us happy or fulfilled or seem like they genuinely matter to us or other people, are not. And a lot of people, including myself, just try to survive until you die, which seems pointless. So I don't know, like, trying to figure out how to make life better for myself and others seems like a worthwhile pursuit. And so I'm hoping that it can make me feel a little bit better about my life and my existence. But I also hope by doing so it makes other people feel better, and that collectively I and the people who listen can find a little bit more joy and fulfillment and purpose in their life. And the thing that also gets me to do this is I'm scared that this is going to go nowhere and be embarrassing. That I recognize, like, I'm not good at it yet, and it's probably going to take a while before I'm good at creating a podcast or creating a YouTube channel or creating a program. Any of the skill sets that go into this, I'm not great. I'm not good. I've never done it before. I don't have the skill set, and I'm scared that, like, I'll never succeed at this. That progress theory, as much as I have this huge vision for what I want it to become, and what I think it can become, there's a chance it doesn't. Like, life does not bend to my will. Other people don't care about my goals and my vision the way I do. Most of them don't care at all. Why care about mine when they have their own to chase after? So there's a good chance this goes nowhere. And if that happens, then I think worst case scenario is I just pivot to something else, and I'll probably be, if my commitment right now is I'm going to give this my all for 5 years. Even the little bit I've done so far makes life seem so much more exciting to me, and makes it all seem way more bearable. And so I want to just give it everything for 5 years and see what I can make this. And I think 5 years of very intentionally and deliberately exploring how to optimize life for well-being will at the very least benefit me. If no one listens, and if no one watches, I build no audience, the program has no success, then I can just pivot to something else. There's a lot of ways to make money. There's a lot of ways to make a difference. And I think be a better version of myself and be more primed to succeed in whatever area I pivot to. And best case scenario, I am able to build this podcast and build a YouTube channel, build this program, and create a company rooted in helping people lead better lives. And when I frame it like that, as much as I'm still scared, even posting this, it's like I just don't think it's my best work. I don't think it's the best I'm capable of. And yeah, it's a little rough posting something and getting no attention, or like seeing no tangible success. But when I frame it like that, of just doing it will make me feel better and will make me a better version of myself. So worst case scenario is still a win. Makes it seem very worthwhile. So yeah, if anyone is listening to this episode at the start, which would be pretty cool, I appreciate you a lot, or in the future, maybe if I grow this to be bigger than it is now, and people who like where it goes decide to look back on where it started. I guess my one piece of encouragement from this episode is just try to do things now that make you feel okay. Don't withhold joy and fulfillment to some future date. Don't tell yourself you need to accomplish this or reach this point. And once you do, you'll feel better, because you probably won't. And if you just do the things that you want to do now, you'll feel better now and then. It sounds very simple, and maybe it is. Maybe it's too simple. Maybe it's it's not actually effective in application. But I think it is now. And I'd encourage anyone watching this to anyone watching or listening to try to incorporate that idea into your life and see if it makes a difference. See if it makes it all seem a little bit brighter and more bearable. Lastly, moving forward with the podcast, just to give a little bit of expectation for anyone who actually listens to this and decides to come back. Up front, I think it's going to be a lot of solo episodes. It's the format I'm planning on following, at least for now, is have like a core idea or a core question that I'm exploring, and will probably be hopefully 20 to 30 minute episodes where I just break down a niche component of that I think matters with the in regards to the overarching idea of optimizing well-being. And it'll just be me talking about that, talking about the books I'm reading and trying to understand it. And over time, I don't want this to be just me. Like I absolutely want to build it into a podcast where I have experts on and I talk to public figures, and it becomes not only public figures, but I think eventually talk to members of the program and try to understand like what was effective for you, what was not. I can't optimize well-being for humanity as a whole if I just look at myself and I just build it off of myself. And so I really want to make a deliberate effort to eventually make this a lot more about other people and trying to explore their experience in life, to derive general lessons from it. That is a goal one day. I want it to absolutely reach a far more balanced place where there's a lot of conversation with others alongside the more solo exploration of ideas. But for now, it'll probably be just me and maybe sometimes people that I enjoy talking to, but who are not public figures. And if you listen to this, whenever it is, if it's 5 years in the future and you're listening to this, or if it's when it's posted, I appreciate it a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it that piqued your interest, or you can apply to your life to make it a little better. And if you did, you're welcome to come back. I invite you to. I'd love to keep exploring this alongside you. So yeah, until next week.